Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Arigaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinatha Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Jamuna Mai Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 67, entitled Balarāma slays Dvivida gorilla, texts 17 through 23. So of these texts, text 23 has one purport. We'll read together 17 through 22 and then chant together 23. We'll also read unfortunately, the devotee has not shown up to put the verse on the board. So I'll read the slokas and then we'll go to 23. Dvivido pi mahā-vīryaḥ śālam udyamya pāṇinā abhyetya tarasā tena balam mūrdhani atāḍayat dvivida api also great vīryaḥ whose potency śālam a śāla tree udyamya lifting up pāṇinā with his hand abhyetya approaching tarasā swiftly tena with it balam Lord Balarāma mūrdhani on the head atāḍayat he struck. Translation. Mighty Dvivida also came forward to do battle. Uprooting a śāla tree with one hand, he rushed toward Balarāma and struck him on the head with the tree trunk. So, in this verse, Dvivida is called mahā-vīryaḥ. He's very powerful. And just with one hand, he was able to uproot a powerful śāla tree and rush towards Balarāma to strike him on the head. Text 18. Tam tu saṅkarṣaṇo mūrdhni patatam acalo yatha pratijagraha balavan sunanden ahanachchatam tam that tree trunk tu but saṅkarṣaṇo Lord Balarāma mūrdhani on his head pantantam falling acalaha an unmoving mountain yatha like pratijagraha took hold of Balavan, powerful. Sunandena, with Sunanda, his club. Ahanat, he struck. Cha, and. Tam, him, Dvivida. Translation. But Lord saṅkarṣaṇo remained as motionless as a mountain and simply grabbed the log as it fell upon his head. He then struck Dvivida with his club named Sunanda. Text 19 through 21 together. Musala, I'll chant this slokas first. Musala hata mastisko vireje raktadaraya giriryatha garikaya praharam nanu chintayan punar anyam samutshipya kritva nishpatram ojasa tena hanatsu saṅkrūdas tambala shatadachinat tatonyena rusha jagne tam chapi shatadachinat mushala, by the club. Ahata, struck. Mastishkaha, his skull. Vireje, he appeared brilliant. Rakta, of blood. Daraya, with the downpour. Girihi, a mountain. Yatha, like. Garikaya, with red oxide. Praharam, the blow. Na, not. Anuchintayan, regarding seriously. Punaha, again. Anyam, another tree. Samukshipya, uprooting. Kritva, making. Nishpatram, devoid of leaves. Ojasa, forcefully. Tena, with it. Ahanat, he struck. Susaṅkrūdaha, totally angered. Tam, it. Balaha, Lord Balarāma. Shatada, into hundreds of pieces. Achinat, shattered. Tataha, then. Anyena, with another. Rusha, furiously. Jagne, smashed. Tam, it. Cha, and. Api, also. Shatadha, into hundreds of pieces. Achinat, he broke. Translation. Struck on the skull by the Lord's club, Dvivida became brilliantly decorated by the outpour of blood, like a mountain beautified by red oxide. Ignoring the wound, Dvivida uprooted another tree, stripped it of leaves by brute force, and struck the Lord again. Now enraged, Lord Balarāma shattered the tree into hundreds of pieces, upon which Dvivida grabbed yet another tree and furiously hit the Lord again. This tree, too, the Lord smashed into hundreds of pieces. Text 22. evam yudyam bhagavarakta bhagne bhagne puna puna akrisya sarvato vrikshan nirvriksham akarodvanam evam. In this way, yudyan, dvivida, fighting, bhagavata, by the Lord, bhagne bhagne, being repeatedly broken, puna puna, again and again, akrisya, pulling out, sarvataha, from everywhere, vrikshan, trees, nivriksham, treeless, akarot, he made, vanam, the forest. Translation. Thus fighting the Lord, who again and again demolished the trees he was attacked with, Dvivida kept on uprooting trees from all sides until the forest was left treeless. Now we'll chant text 23. Unfortunately,
You can just chat and read the translation properly. It's already 8:20.
yeah, okay. We won't do repeating of the mantra because he hasn't shown up today. Tato munchach chila varsham palasyo paryamarshitaha tat sarvam churnayam asha lilaya mushalaya yudha tataha. Then amunchat, he released śāla, of stones, varsham, a rain, balasya upari, on top of Lord Balarāma, amarshitaha, frustrated, tat, that, sarvam, all, churnayam asha, pulverized, lilaya, easily, mushala ayudha, the wielder of the club. Translation. The angry ape then released a rain of stones upon Lord Balarāma, but the wielder of the club easily pulverized them all. We can repeat together this sloka. The angry ape then released a rain of stones upon Lord Balarāma, but the wielder of the club easily pulverized them all. Purport. Srila Prabhupada writes, when no more trees were available, Dvivida took help from the hills and threw large pieces of stone, like rainfall, upon the body of Balarāma. Lord Balarāma, in a great sporting mood, began to smash those big pieces of stone into mere pebbles. Even today, there are many sports wherein people enjoy striking a ball or similar object with a stick or bat. This sporting propensity exists originally in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who playfully, lilaya, pulverized the deadly boulders hurled at him by the powerful Dvivida. Om Ajnana Timrandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshujunamilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sva Padantekam Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti-vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavari Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adigaur Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this particular chapter that we've been studying, this is chapter 67. It's a very short chapter. It has only 28 slokas in it. And the beginning of the chapter, Parikshit, he's very anxious to hear more about Lord Balarāma, because Sukadeva Goswami, he was describing how Balarāma, in intense feelings of separation, for the first time he left Krishna and went to Braja to console the Brijbasis. And he assured them, the Brijbasis, that Krishna would be coming back as soon as he finished his work of killing all the demons. Then Balarāma, because there were constantly messengers coming and going from Dwarka to Braja, Balarāma heard that Krishna was preparing to go to Kashi to fight with Pondraka and the king of Kashi. So Balarāma quickly left Braja because he wanted to assist Krishna. Not only that, he wanted to assist Krishna to quicken his assignment to eradicate all of the demons. Because Balarāma being the first expansion of Krishna, Krishna has his expansions and he has his associates. And in this particular incarnation, Krishna used both his expansions and his associates to assist him in killing all of the demons so that he could return back to the spiritual world quickly. So Balarāma left Braja, and it's compared that both Uddhava and Balarāma, they acted like the Ashwini Kumars, the twins, because both of them gave the medicine to cure the separation that the Brijbasis were feeling there when they visited Braja. So now Balarāma had left Braja, and just at that time, the chapter before this was when Krishna went to attack Pondraka. And Balarāma, what he did was not finalized by Sukadeva Goswami, because Sukadeva Goswami was just so ecstatically interested in describing the pastimes of Krishna. So now after Pondraka and the king Kashi had been annihilated, immediately Parikshit, he wanted to hear more about Balarāma. What happened to Balarāma? You left him in midair. So then Sukadeva Goswami began to describe what Balarāma did when he left Braja. Now we had heard that while Balarāma was in Braja, he was requested by Krishna and by the gopis who were Krishna's gopis to marry the young gopi girls who were Balarāma's consorts. So at that time, while he was there, he married them. Now he's returned to Dwarka, to his wife Revati, and he's enjoying the company of his wife and these young girls who he had just married. This is described in different commentaries, that the young girls that were with Revati and Balarāma were actually the young gopi girls who Balarāma had married. So Balarāma was enjoying himself, and appears there Dvivida gorilla. Now, every day during the classes, some very similar questions have been asked, and I felt that they weren't being answered fully. For instance, what insult did Dvivida commit to Lakshman that caused him to fall down and associate later with Narakasura? That was one question that kept getting avoided. Nobody quite gave the answer. And the other is, how is it that Dvivida, who was such a powerful general in the army of Ramachandra, was able to degrade himself to the point where he actually was attacking Lord Balarāma in the next avatar? So, because these questions were not directly answered in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we have auxiliary scriptures that we can study and possibly get more answers just to embellish what we're reading here in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So after searching and searching in the Ramayana, in the Garga Samhita, and in the Kalki Purana specifically, these answers are given in more depth. For instance, now, when the demigods approached the Supreme Lord, not when Krishna was about to appear, but when Ram was about to appear, they prayed to Lord Vishnu that this ferocious demon, Ravana, is causing disturbance all over the universe, and we pray that you please come and annihilate him. So Vishnu was contemplating when he would appear, how he would appear, who his father would be. And Ravana had taken benediction from Lord Brahma. Ravana was so puffed up that he only asked Brahma that the higher living entities not be able to kill him. He had no concern whatsoever for the human beings or anyone below the human beings. He didn't ask for that benediction that the human beings not be able to kill him. So that meant that if the Supreme Lord Vishnu was to appear, he would have to appear in a form by which he could actually kill Ravana. So Lord Brahma recommended that he appear as a human being. And then Brahma, understanding that he would need assistance, he instructed all the demigods who had just asked the Lord to appear to also appear along with him, but not in their actual forms, but to take forms as forest dwellers, that not specifically they come, but they impregnate the apsaras, the gandharvas, the vidyadharis, and the monkeys and the bears with a portion of their energy as sons who could assist Lord Ram in killing Ravana and his hordes. So some of these were the vanaras, some of these were the bears, some of these were the langurs. Now Brahma said that he had already done that because one day he yawned, and from that yawn came Jambavan, the king of the bears. So each one of the demigods then, they impregnated and gave birth to a very powerful son. For instance, Indra gave birth to Bali, the sun god gave birth to Sugriva, and like that, the Aswini Kumars, who were the sons of the sun god, they gave birth to two powerful generals, and their names were Dvivida and Mainda. And Sugriva, therefore, was like their father or their uncle, we can say, because Sugriva was the son of the sun god, and they were the son of the sun god. So there is a very intricate relationship amongst all of the Vanaras who assisted the Supreme Lord Ram. And Lord Brahma, when he told the demigods to instill these sons with their power, he said they have to be able to change their forms, they have to have use of the weapons, they have to have be very powerful in warfare. All these special qualities their sons had to have to assist Lord Ram. So these were the Vanaras. They had a very complicated, intricate social system, just as humans have. They performed religious rites, they married, They had homes and palaces and kingdoms and relatives and all types of social orders, just like the human beings, because they were actually godly, coming to assist Lord Ram. So amongst them was Dvivida and Mainda. And because Dvivida and Mainda were the sons of the Ashwini Kumars are the physicians of the demigods. So Dvivida in particular, he was a very great physician. And during the war, when Lord Ram decided that he would personally come and kill Ravana, because the generals were saying, you can stay here on the shore, we will fly, we will kill Ravana and desecrate all of Lanka for you. You don't have to do it. And Rama said, no, I want to do this personally. And all of this could have been done by Ram's energy, but Ram personally wanted to take part and kill Ravana, because that's why he had appeared. So during the fight, and of course we're getting we had 7 slokas today of a very valiant fight between Dvivida and Balarāma. So in the Ramayana, there's extensive viryaḥ, all the different rakshasas and the vanaras fighting together, how the vanaras, they use trees, as is being done here. They use tops of mountains that they would throw on top of the rakshasas. They use their nails, their claws, their teeth, whatever personal capabilities they had. These were their weapons against the rakshasas, who had very sophisticated weapons. So a lot of the vanaras, they were decimated by the rakshasas. The rakshasas also were killed by the vanaras. But in particular, the higher-ups, such as Lakshman, they were matched against their equals. So Lakshman, he was matched with Indrajit. And after defeat, actually, Indrajit was able to defeat Lakshman and Ram by becoming invisible and tying them up with snake arrows and ropes and piercing their bodies like porcupines. And then anyone who's read the Ramayana, they know then Hanuman had to bring the whole mountain, Gandhamadana, because he was a monkey. He couldn't figure out which herb it was. And Lakshman and Ram were revived at that time. But then the fighting went on. And finally, Lakshman was able to kill Indrajit. But Indrajit, he was the son of Ravana. And Ravana, he was the son of who's the father? He was a Brahmin. I forget his name right now. But he was a great Brahmin, a powerful Brahmin. So it meant that Indrajit came in the line of Brahmins. I can't remember his name, I'm sorry. So when Lakshman killed Indrajit, he had killed a Brahmin. And therefore, and he had killed him with a fiery weapon. Therefore, he had to suffer the result of killing a Brahmin. And he came down with a very high fever. And Dvivida, he was called, being a physician, to cure Lakshman. So Dvivida came and he gave him a mantra. And that mantra was Samudrasyo tare tire dvivido nama vanara. That if you say the name of Dvivida, who lives on the northern shore of the salt ocean, then you will be cured of your fever. So he chanted that, he put it on his head, he wrote it on a palm leaf, he had Lakshman see it, and Lakshman's fever was cured. So Lakshman was very grateful to Dvivida for curing his high fever, and he offered him a benediction. He said, anything you want, I'm happy to give you. So Dvivida, in that Vanara form, he prayed to Lakshman that I want to be killed by you, so that when I'm killed, you being the Supreme Lord, I will be freed from this lower form. So that was his benediction given by Lakshman. So now we come forward, because when Ram decided that he would return, he was requested, now it's time to go back to Vaikuntha, and the Vanaras all wanted to go with him. He took some of them, he left some of them here, such as Hanuman. He told Hanuman, you will live here so long as my glories are being chanted. Hanuman is still living here in Kim Purusha Loka. And some other Vanaras also remained here, including Dvivida and Minda, the two brothers. And they went to live in the kingdom of the Vanaras, which was Kishkinda, down in the south. And the emperor there was Nila, another one of the great generals. He was the son of one of the demigods who I forget who it was. So they were living then in Kishkinda with all the other Vanaras who had stayed behind. And it was Treta Yuga when they appeared. Now already it was Dwapara Yuga. And Yudhisthira Maharaj was going to have his Rajasuya sacrifice. And he sent his brothers out to conquer all of the kings, take tribute from them, so that they could perform the Rajasuya sacrifice. And Sahadev, he was sent to the south. And he, one by one, was able to conquer each of the kings, Pulinda, and on and on and on he went, till he came all the way to the south, and he saw the beautiful kingdom of Kishkinda with all the caves where the Vanaras lived. And he challenged them that, I want you to pay tribute to Emperor Yudhisthira. And Dvivida and Minda, they fought with Sahadev for 1 week, for 7 days. Now we can remember also that Bhima and Hanuman, who were actually brothers, because their father was the wind god, they also fought. And Sahadev and Nakula, they're also sons of the Asvini Kumars. Dvivida and Minda are also, so they're brothers. They were fighting. And finally, because by that time, it was already Dwapara Yuga, the end of Dwapara Yuga, Dvivida and Minda were quite old, so they acceded to Sahadev, they gave tribute, and they came under the shelter of Yudhisthira Maharaj. So Dvivida, at that time, now this is before the Pandavas appeared, Kamsa was on the scene. Kamsa, being Kalanimi, being a great demon from his previous birth and having an intense hatred for the Supreme Lord and fear of him, he wanted to build up a huge contingency and make the whole world under his control by getting all the demons in one group under him. So this is in the Garga Samhita. It's described how he went from place to place where each of the great demons lived, and he conquered them each. And while he was traveling, after he conquered Aga, and then of course Putana and Keshi and all the different demons, he took them under his control. He was going to the Pravarshana Parvat. It's the same mountain where Krishna and Balarāma climbed up, and there was staying Dvivida at that time. So Kamsa challenged him. And Dvivida, of course, came out to fight. And they fought for 20 days. And Dvivida, not having any weapons, being a Vanara, in the same way that he was fighting with Balarāma here, he used trees and he used mountaintops, and he would throw the mountaintops on top of Kamsa. And then Kamsa he was equally strong, he would also take a mountaintop and throw that on top of Dvivida, because they were equally strong. But because of Dvivida's old age, finally his bones were all broken, and he had to admit defeat to Kamsa. So now Dvivida, having been defeated by Kamsa, was a part of his group. And that meant he was a part of all the demons. And these demons, not that they all wanted to be under Kamsa, but they were all conquered by Kamsa. So one of those demons was Narakasura. And we can remember Narakasura, his other name is Bhaumasura, because he was the son of Bhumi. And who was Narakasura's father? Who knows? Varahadev. So many of these demons, they started out, and if you look at their previous lives, they were devotees in their past lifetime. They had very elevated births, very elevated dynasties they came from. But due to influence of demoniac association, they also became demoniac. Same thing happened to Narakasura. He became demoniac. He associated with Banasura, way over in Assam. A lot of demons lived over there on that side of the country. So Dvivida and Narakasura became friends. Now, when Dvivida heard that Krishna had killed his friend Narakasura, Krishna's other name is Mitraha. He had killed his friend. So Dvivida, he decided to take revenge. And he, because of he still was very powerful, but he was still a Vanara. So he, in any way he could, he decided to attack Anartha, which is the kingdom that Dwarka is contained within. And within Anartha also, Dwarka is surrounded by this Raivatataka mountain. So he went there, and he was committing terrible atrocities. He was expanding his body and rolling on the fields and crushing all the crops so the people who had nothing to eat. He would go into the oceans and flap his hands and make tidal waves. And when Prabhupada was listening to this, Shrudakirti, this is in the memories of Shrudakirti, maybe he already told this story in one class. Shrudakirti was reading this chapter to Prabhupada, and when Prabhupada heard the different things that Dvivida was doing, specifically when he came to attack the sages, because when he went to the ashrams of the sages, he was uprooting all the trees, and he was going to their sacrificial arenas and passing stool and urine. And when Prabhupada heard that, he started to laugh and hit his leg like this. He was really enjoying this fight because he knew that Dvivida was going to get slaughtered. So the next day when Shrudakirti started to read again, he saw how much Prabhupada enjoyed this Leela. He was looking for another demon Leela, and Prabhupada said to him, he stopped him, he said, "No, you just start reading. Krishna's like a sweet ball. And wherever you taste, it's sweet." So then he just started to read there. Now, when it comes to why did Balarāma kill Dvivida? Because Balarāma knew very well who Dvivida was. Balarāma was Lakshman, of course. Even when Nityananda Prabhu would play with his friends, they would play out this whole Leela. He would be Lakshman, and there would be Indrajit, and like that. So Balarāma perfectly understood. But there is a principle in the Manu Samhita that Prabhupada also brings up in the Bhagavad-Gita, and that is the atāḍayat, the aggressors. When Ramachandra decided to kill Bali, and Bali was lying there, almost dead, he countered Ramachandra that you hid to kill me. You did not act like a proper kshatriya, and now you have killed me, and this is a great sin. You didn't act properly. And Ramachandra explained to Bali that you had committed so much aggression against your own brother. You had taken all of his wealth, you had kidnapped his wife, you had driven him out of the land. There are 5 different types of aggressors. One who kidnaps the wife, one who attacks with weapons, you attacked your brother, one who takes one's wealth and land, one who administers poison, and one who attacks with fire. So you had done 3 of these against your own brother, and therefore aggressors must always be killed. And Prabhupada gives an example. In his own, when he was indoor here, when Prabhupada was first taking the devotees on Sankirtan, they were having Pandal programs going from city to city. Prabhupada explains that simply by our chanting Hare Krishna, we will get enemies, because enemies do not like the name of the Lord to be chanted. So Prabhupada was having a program in Indore, and on the stage were Prabhupada and the devotees. And one demon, he came to the edge of the stage, he grabbed the devotee, and he tried to pull him off of the stage. And Prabhupada stood up, he took his kartals, and he came to attack the demon. And the demon had to run away. So even Prabhupada, when he saw an aggressor against the devotees, Prabhupada personally picked up a weapon. And Prabhupada instructed the devotees, he said, you get 2 guns for Mayapur, government-approved guns. You keep the guns there because almost every month the devotees are being attacked in Mayapur. He said the same thing about New Vrindavan. He said, 3 times now you've been attacked. You have to have guns, you have to train 10 to 12 people. This is what Prabhupada said. And he gave the counterexample of when you don't follow this, when you don't kill the atāḍayat. He said, one time, because we know Gandhi's principle of nonviolence that he somehow extracted from the Bhagavad-Gita. So one time, one man asked Gandhiji that if someone comes into your home and attacks your daughter to break her chastity, what would you do? And Gandhiji replied, I would remain nonviolent. And Prabhupada said, this is foolishness. He said, when there is an aggressor, you must attack and you must kill the aggressor. So here we have the aggressor. The aggressor is Dvivida. Dvivida was wandering around throughout this kingdom of Anartha, trying to do as much mischief as possible. And he heard beautiful singing coming from the Raivataka mountain. He was attracted by the singing. The young girls were singing because they were so attracted to Balarāma's beauty. And when Dvivida entered the arena where this Leela is going to take place, he was also attracted by Balarāma's beauty. But being mischievous, he started to taunt the young girls. The girls laughed at him. And then he started to pull their clothes. And Balarāma, remembering who this actually was, but due to bad association, he had acquired demoniac qualities, he didn't pick up his weapons right away. He just threw a stone at him. And then what Dvivida did was, monkey in nature, he came over and attacked Balarāma. The first thing he did was he broke his Varuni pot, and that made Balarāma angry. And then he started to tear at Balarāma's clothes. So here one time in Prabhupada's garden, we didn't always have all of this netting here, and we were completely at the mercy of the monkeys. The monkeys, they own the place. They're the original inhabitants here. Monkeys, the dust, the Jamuna River, Govardhan, so that's who belongs here. So we used to have a band of monkeys, and they used to regularly terrorize us here. So one monkey particularly liked to sit on Prabhupada's asana in the garden. And one day, in my powerful fury, I threw a stone at him. Foolishly, you never throw a stone at a monkey, because when you throw a stone, you don't have any weapon in your hand. So that monkey, he of course remembered me, and with a vengeance, he waited for me. And as I was taking Prabhupada's lunch to him, he came and attacked me. And he attacked me the same way Dvivida attacked Balarāma. He started to, with his teeth, he started to tear my sari to pieces. Because, I guess the monkey thought that that was me. And I'm screaming, Krishna, Krishna, Prabhupada. So monkeys, it's in their genes. This is how they attack. They have their teeth, they have their claws, and they attack people like that. So the monkey attacked Balarāma now, lightly. He attacked him by breaking his honey pot and then tearing his clothes and making fierce faces at him. So then Balarāma remembered all of the atrocities that Dvivida had been committing in Anartha kingdom. And he decided, here is an aggressor. So then he picked up his musal, Sunanda, and he went to hit him. Before he hit him, Dvivida picked up a tree with one hand and was going to hit Balarāma one hand. Balarāma was able, very calmly, took the tree and shattered it into pieces. So then we have these slokas where the story goes on. Soon the whole forest became treeless because Dvivida picked up one tree after another and Balarāma smashed them all. When there were no more trees, then he started to pick up boulders at tops of the mountain peaks and throw them at Balarāma. And Balarāma, with his club, just like with a cricket bat, he was smashing all of these stones. They were having fun. It was fun. Nobody was winning, nobody was losing. They were just having a nice sport. And finally, Balarāma just got tired of it. And when all the mountains and the stones were finished, the trees were finished, Dvivida only had his fists. So then he went to attack Balarāma with his fists. And Balarāma, with just one blow, hit him in a very weak spot, which is the collarbone. And Dvivida then started to spit blood, and he died at the hands of Balarāma, which was exactly the benediction that he asked for. So this is a continuation of these beautiful pastimes of Krishna and Balarāma. We have to remember at the very beginning of the first canto, when the rishis asked Sutta Goswami, they were asking different questions. What they asked for was that we want to hear the beautiful pastimes of Keshav and Ram. So throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam, specifically in the 10th canto, we hear these beautiful pastimes of Krishna and Balarāma. And really, the Srimad Bhagavatam is the entire narrative of the pastimes of Krishna and Balarāma in their different incarnations. For instance, Balarāma is also Anantashesh. His mother, Rohini, was Kadru. He, being Anantashesh, now he took the form of Balarāma. So all of these different forms of the Lord that were taken, it's always Krishna and Balarāma together. They never leave each other. They go on eternally in their pastimes, and therefore, Srila Prabhupada, being a great devotee of Krishna and Balarāma, and understanding the importance of worshiping them, he established here the Krishna Balarāma temple for several reasons. First of all, because there are many, many Radha Krishna temples here in Vrindavan. Everyone worships Radhe Radhe, because we know that by the mercy of Radharani you can approach Krishna. But the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they understand that how to get the mercy of Radharani, you have to get the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. And therefore, on the first altar, we have Krishna, Gaur and Nitai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. And although Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave us the prime emblem of the Vaishnavas, Trinadapi Sunichena, Taror Iva Sahishnuna, Amanina Manadena, Kirtaniya Sadahari, that if we want the mercy of the Lord to always chant his holy name forever, Kirtaniya Sadahari, then we have to become more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree. But when the aggressor, Madhai, came and broke the pot on Nityananda's head, was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu nonviolent? No. He was immediately ready to kill Madhai. And Madhai later, he very much repented the fact that he had killed Nityananda Prabhu, that he had tried to kill Nityananda Prabhu by attacking him. So even the Supreme Lord, he is prepared at any moment, even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even our Srila Prabhupada, they are always prepared to attack the aggressors. And therefore, we have to use this principle properly in our Krishna consciousness. One time, many years ago, Hridayananda Maharaj came here to visit. He hasn't come for so many years for health reasons. He was giving a class about how the devotees should direct their anger. For instance, Balarāma became angry, therefore he killed Dvivida. He said, rather than becoming angry at each other, we should become angry at all of the different industries that are creating the pollution here. And this was 20 years ago he said this. Now we can hardly breathe because we didn't become angry enough to stop the pollution here. So we have to direct our anger to keep the atmosphere of Braj pure, to always chant the glories of Krishna and Balarāma, to take great relish in hearing their pastimes in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And rather than getting angry at each other, we should get angry at those who are polluting the atmosphere of Vrindavan, always remembering the different offenses that should be avoided here in the Holy Dham. There are many different types of offenses, the offenses against the holy name, offenses to the Guru, the 64 different offenses in the Seva aparads, and there are also aparads to the Holy Dham. So we have to be very cautious while we're here in Vrindavan to avoid those offenses, to always offer respects to the Guru, to understand that no one who is able to reside in the Holy Dham is an ordinary living entity. We only get to enter here by the grace of the Supreme Lord. We have to never make a business of our deity worship, of our chanting of Hare Krishna. We have to offer respects to all the residents here. And we have to ourselves be very careful not to commit offenses. Because by these offenses, it's explained that although Dvivida and Mainda are the Avaran deities that are in the circle of the Supreme Lord Ram in Vaikuntha, they're worshipped along with Ramachandra. The Supreme Lord had them come here in their Shaktavish form to display these pastimes so that we could understand, just as Jai and Vijay came down as demons to fight with the Lord, so Dvivida also came down from Vaikuntha to fight with the Lord, to show us the dangers of associating with non-devotees. So all these lessons we should take to heart and pray to Krishna and Balarāma that they protect us from bad association and to always be able to chant their holy names. Hare Krishna. Jai. Any questions? Yes, Prabhu.
He beat me to it. He beat me to it. He got his contract. So you began your class with a question that what was the insult that Dvivida had made? But you only spoke of a benediction.
Yes.
That Dvivida received.
Well, Dvivida, he was one of the generals on the East Gate, and Dvivida considered himself to be very powerful, and therefore he did not recognize Lakshman to be the Supreme Lord, all-powerful. He thought himself to be more powerful, and then the fact that he was able to cure the fever of Lakshman. Therefore, he had this concept that he was more powerful than Lakshman. And that was the offense that caused him to eventually associate with non-devotees, particularly Narakasura.
And just a little comment, because you talked about being prepared and so on. And I just was thinking about in Indonesia, the devotees have created a community there called balam. And since it's, not a devotee surrounding, they made a program that would practice martial arts every day, very visibly.
Wow.
So that everyone could see that they were an expert. So
Wow.
that's following the footsteps.
Wow. Where in Indonesia?
It's in Sumatra.
Sumatra. Wow.
Or Java.
In Java.
North of Jakarta.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
There's the devotees there, they clubbed together, bought a huge piece of land and created a community. There's about 100 families there. They have a school, they're a recognized village by the government. And to let everyone know that they are non-violent. I mean, they are non-violent, but they're prepared.
Oh, excellent.
I've heard that the martial arts came originally from the priests and to protect the churches and temples. So all the martial arts that you see in the world actually originated from religious monks protecting religious principles. So that
I didn't understand this, this kind of benediction, going into negative role and killed by the Lord, and not going to the devotional path.
Yes.
Love the Lord. So how it is good,
Well, there were two devotees of Lord Ram who asked for similar benedictions. One was Jambavan. He asked to be killed by Ram personally. And the other was Dvivida, who asked to be killed by Lakshman. So at the same time that Balarāma killed Dvivida, he not only took the life out of his body, but he was able to extract all of these sinful reactions of whatever he had done, because it's a benediction to be killed by the Supreme Lord. And also, he was able to be relieved from this lower creature's body. So that was why he asked to be killed by him, because he could understand the benefit of being killed by the Supreme Lord. In the case of Jambavan, because Jambavan and Krishna were fighting for the Shamantaka jewel, but Jambavan eventually, fighting for 28 days, he realized that this is my Ram. So he surrendered to the Supreme Lord. So there was no reason for Krishna then to kill him, because he had already fully surrendered. But Dvivida, on the other hand, he maintained his belligerent attitude towards Balarāma, and therefore Balarāma killed him and liberated him.
what kind of liberation he got?
Well, already he had a place in Vaikuntha as an Avaran Murti, Avaran deity, he's worshipped along with the Ram Darbar. They're in concentric circles, these different types of associates of the Lord, and he, along with his brother, are worshipped along with Ramachandra in the Vaikuntha planet of Ramloka.
Mataji, you mentioned about anger, that we should not be angry with devotees, but we should direct the anger to the ugrakarma that's going on. So I just wanted to understand from a practical application point of view, that does that stage arrive once one has calmed down a little bit from the seemingly, so does that stage of directing one's anger, instead of to the devotees, instead of doing that, to direct it to the factories that you mentioned, does that happen when one has calmed down a little bit? Or, because I don't understand how it's possible. My question is how to do it.
How to do it?
How to direct it when you're actually angry with someone. Not that one should be angry, but due to shortcomings of somebody else.
Well, that was in yesterday's class. There was a whole description of how to control one's anger. You can listen to that class. Right now it's almost 9:10, so I'm not trying to avoid the answer. It's just that a whole class was given yesterday on how to control one's anger. Okay, you can listen to that class. All right, thank you. Okay. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Jai.